Hello all. We're back in closed session. Kayla, you ready? Okay. Mr. Attorney, would you give us an announcement from closed session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, no reportable action from closed session. Direction was given to staff.
Thank you. Next, we have a Pledge of Allegiance and some important guests here to lead us. Come on up.
Okay. Go ahead, Leilani, you can go first.
My name is Leilani. Thank you for inviting us to lead your meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We are students from Ophir School. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance helps form a connection to our country, the United States of America. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we honor the flag and everything it represents. My name is Camelia Holt. We are a country with a lot of people. We say the Pledge of Allegiance gives people pride. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance to start our day at school. We would like to lead you with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, girls.
Girls, come on up here. I have something for you. This is for Leilani.
I'll hold your paper.
Thank you very much, Leilani. You did a wonderful job.
Girlfriend.
And Camilla? Camelia. Thank you.
Good job, good job.
Thank you. Thank you again. That was very special. Any corrections or changes to the agenda? None? Seen?
Yes, we do.
We do?
Actually,
Oh, okay.
we have
Whoa, hold on.
We have two, actually. So on the agenda there, number 3, where it says adoption of agenda, that should actually be the corrections, changes
Gotcha.
to agenda. So we'll make that one little clerical update. And then also the first public hearing, I believe, is it the second public hearing? Item 8. We're going to be pulling that. The applicant has withdrew their appeal, so
Okay.
that item will be pulled. That's it.
That's item number 8.
Okay.
Okay, pulled. Thank you. And with those being added in correction, I'll be entertaining a motion to adopt in the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Motion passes, 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Please note, our one absent is due to illness, so we hope he gets well, Mr. Reynolds. Presentations and proclamations, any tonight? Seeing none? Public communications, hearing of non-agenda items. Do we have any non-agenda items?
Yes, we do. We have 2 cards tonight. We'll begin with Rhonda, follow that with Brian Wong.
Rhonda, welcome.
I would like to start where I left off last time. This homeless shelter is a mental situation. We got people doing things they shouldn't. We got leaking water. We've got cold temperatures. We've got rules that just absolutely defeat. And those rules are made by people that have never been defeated. This homelessness is not just drugs. It is so many things. It is children. It is foster cares. It is elderly. It is people with missing limbs because they sat out there last winter and froze. Okay? But we've got millions and millions of dollars coming in for every one of those signatures and every single one of those people. But they're still out there freezing. No blankets, no damn food. And they can't even get underneath an awning because your police department sees fit to remove them because some neighbor called and sees them there. This is sickening. 777,000 homeless people in this world, in this country. And you people can't understand what torture is. Believe me when I say it's torture. Have you ever been out there 15 minutes and it's too cold? Well, try being out there for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and your body temperature doesn't even get to 30. And then you lose those limbs. And every second of that is suffering. And then you got the lack of food. You got the lack of care. You got the lack of a city that has any kind of understanding but to sweep and drive. And you, Mr. Weber, a man that has been where they are, you should be pulling every freaking string and truckload that you could possibly find in this godforsaken place. Hey, excuse me, because my tolerance with this is very, very, very slim. I come from the East Coast. We do not treat our people any less than a human freaking being. And we know that when they lack water, and when they lack food, and they lack clothing, and they lack warmth, they freaking die on our lawns when that snow melts in the spring.
Rhonda, thank you.
Have a good night, all.
You too.
Smarten the hell up.
Up next, we have Brian Wong, followed by Bill Spear.
Brian, welcome.
Hello, Mayor Pittman, City Councilors, staff, and community members. I just want to talk to the community tonight about the biomass issue. So I want to give acknowledgement to Mayor Pittman and attending the Valley Vision Biomass Workshop in Sacramento a few weeks ago. I also attended the same workshop. When I attend workshops like this and other ones like it, you know, we have panelists like Dr. Cindy Chen from the University of California, Agricultural and Natural Resources, talk about forest health, wildfire issues, native prescribed burns to control biomass, and the air pollution caused by wildfires. Groups like the Clean Air Partnership, the Capital Region Climate Readiness Collaborative, Placer County Water Agency, and Placer County Air Pollution Control District put on events like this one to educate as well as to encourage collaboration amongst local leaders, project developers, environmental groups, and the general public. I also want to give acknowledgement to Councilman Weber and OCDC for hosting the upcoming biomass workshop on December 8th to educate the local community on biomass and wildfire issues. There is a local group called the Dioxin Awareness Group that is raising concerns about biomass-related issues. They placed a full-page ad on this past Saturday's paper that has misstatements. The ad states that the Bree Biomass Project is in partnership with Brian Wong and the City of Oroville. I would like to state that this is a false statement. Brian Wong is not in partnership with Bree or the City of Oroville on a biomass project. Brian Wong, as managing member of Oral Corbo, is planning a biomass project. Brian Wong has not submitted a project application on behalf of Oral Corbo to the City of Oroville. Oral Corbo has not disclosed its final plans because we are still planning. The Dioxin Group is chaired by former City Council member Linda Draper. I do not know why this group called me out by name, and I'm the only person called out by name on the full-page ad. As everyone knows, I'm well-known in the community. So to put my name out there like that, and when I'm the only name that's put out there, not by any of the project developers or anything like that. So I don't know what the intent of this group is. So I would like to reach out to them and ask them to maybe publish a retraction. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.
Thank you. Up next, we have Bill Spear.
Mr. Spear, welcome.
Verse of the day. It's from the radio station. Says Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Good one for the Christmas season as we enter into celebration of Christ's birth. I would like to pray. Father, we thank you for what a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you for your grace and your mercy. It says it's fresh and new every day. Lord, we thank you for this day, this opportunity as we petition heaven, Lord, for our city. Lord, we continue to lift up Rhonda to you, Lord, and pray that you would help her, Lord. All the people out there that are suffering, Lord, that, Lord, you are making a way, and we thank you for the rescue mission and all the work they do there. And we pray that you would fill it up with people in need, and Lord, that you would provide and use it to heal them and restore them and bring them to the revelation of your plans for their life, that you would use them for your glory. Thank you for the Hope Center. Lord, thank you for the toy drive that we just did, Lord. Thank you for the jail, the Christmas party that's getting ready to go on in there. Lord, you're working everywhere. We are just grateful and thankful. Thank you for our police force. Continue to bless them and protect them through this season. Lord, our fire department. Thank you for Brian Wong and all that he does in our community, and for all the new businesses that are wanting to come here. And I pray that you would take away all the resistance to the things that you want to do. We know that you want to prosper our city, that you want to bless us, that you want to make us a city on a hill, a light on a shelf, and we know where our help comes from. And we go directly to the source this evening, into the throne room. Abba, Father, give us favor. Give us wisdom. Give our city council wisdom as they go through the agendas. Give us supernatural provision, Lord. We need it. We need miracles, Lord, to get our roads fixed. We need miracles. Thank you for filling up our police force, but Lord, you want to add the increase. And we just thank you and praise you that we are not without hope. We give you all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that it?
All I had.
All right, the next item up is reports and discussions, council announcements and reports. Other than happy Thanksgiving to all. Councilman, whoever's up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first and foremost, I'd like to talk about the results of the toy drive that we conducted this weekend. It was a smash success. We beat our take by 4 carts. This year, we got 10 to 11 carts last year. We got 14 and a half carts full of toys, and it was just a super collaboration between all kinds of different agencies, including the Orville Police Department, who was very gracious and generous in escorting the Pacific Coast Producers train across town to get it safely to its destination. Although I want you guys to be there next year the whole day, because we really need that Grinch dealt with. He was a nuisance the entire time. So I was hoping you guys would arrest him, but no cops were there to do so. But anyway, this toy drive was, of course, to benefit the annual Orville Resource Center and Rescue Mission Christmas dinner and toy drive. So all these toys came from generous donors in our community, and they're going to be distributed to families in need in our community. And that Christmas dinner and toy distribution will be held on December 20th. More details to come. So I just wanted to give a hats off to all the volunteers that helped, and there's way too many of them for me to go down the list because it was just too many. But it just an amazing event. And then now I'll switch gears and I'll talk about this December 8th OCDC meeting. And I would like to point out that I agree with you. I think that full page ad, Brian, was not appropriate, because it did, as you pointed out, it named you as a partner, and it named the city as a partner with Bree, which is inaccurate too. So I think that you're correct. I think that hopefully they see this, hopefully those folks that are doing this, and I think that they're probably well-meaning individuals who genuinely have a concern for Orville and its future, and that's wonderful. And they're exercising their right to express those concerns. But I think that it's important that we also apply, into the proper categories, right? We can't just throw names in there without checking to see if that is actually a fact or not. Which in fact it is not. You are not a partner in this with Brian. You are not a partner in this with the city. You have your own initiative you're working on. And so I did want to, help delineate with that. On to, I've seen some concerns. I actually received some emails talking about this exact thing, and some of the Daxon folks that are talking about how they think that there's some lack of transparency from the city. And I want to assure anybody that's seeing this right now, there is zero lack of transparency from the city on any of these things, that it's been full frontal the entire time, and it will continue to be. I can't speak for all 7 of these members. I only can speak for me, but I know the way I'll do it. And I'm pretty sure the rest of this body will actually be extremely transparent. I know Brian Ring, I know Pat Pyatt, I know the rest of the department heads in the city, and they're not gonna, there's gonna be no allusions to, keeping everybody in the dark and secret. That's not the way we do things. I wouldn't put up with that. I know they wouldn't put up with that. I know he wouldn't put up with that. I know Pat wouldn't put up with that. And I know none of us in this room would put up with that. So that we just need to put that to bed, because it's simply not true. All right? I have also read in emails stating that they felt like the OCDC was some sort of group that was sanctioned by the city. There's no sanctioning body from here. That the OCDC was formed by me after I was elected with other citizens in this community. And it's exactly what it is. It's Orville Community Development Coalition. We talk about initiatives that could benefit Orville. We talk about initiatives that will help Orville. We look for paths to yes. We look to build solutions. It's what we're doing. We're exploring options, okay? We're networking, okay? There is no connection directly with the Orville Community Development Coalition and the city or any of these other members up on this dais, okay? We'll work together, but we're not, that is strictly me. Okay, so I wanted to put that to bed. Let me see. I alone take responsibility for that, and that's why we are hosting this meeting coming up on December the 8th, which is next Monday, 5:30 p.m. at Stream Charter School in that big gym in the back. Access it from 7th Avenue. There's a parking lot there with plenty of parking area, and it's easy to get to. And we will have a community conversation about this thing, because obviously there's concerns about biomass and air, how clean the air is. But this is what I'm going to say, and we're gonna talk about that on Monday. The biomass of today is not our granddaddy's biomass generators. Okay, the ability to clean and scrub the air is unparalleled. We cannot compare 1960s and 70s technology to what they have today, okay? So fear is never a good motivator, ever, okay? And what we need to do is look at this from a pragmatic, common sense approach to analyze the data, analyze what this can do for the community, what the rising cost of energy and all these things that with the future development of Orville and economic development. And then we need to look at it from that. And that's all we're going to do. We're going to present an option for that. That's all we're going to do. We're going to have a community conversation that surrounds that. So Brian, I'm sorry your name was thrown in there. I really am. I know you're out just trying to do the next right thing for the community. And for that, I applaud you. You do an excellent job in this community. And I think everybody in this room knows that. So December the 8th, next Monday, 5:30 p.m., Stream Charter School, gym in the back. Come on down. And we invite anybody and everybody to come and have a honest conversation about this. And I think that the education that you come away with is going to be very pivotal for this conversation. So I kind of rambled there. I apologize. I just wanted to get all that out.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, any other councilman? Go, Vice Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just reminding everyone, coming up on the 13th, here in downtown. This Friday.
This Friday?
This Friday, yeah, I was thinking, oh, was I?
It's nice when you're having fun.
So, yeah, so that's going to be this Friday, downtown Oroville. It's going to be a great time. And I encourage everyone to come out, celebration. Thank you.
Thank you for that notice. Anyone else looking around? I kind of want to tail in what Councilman Weber stated, and thank you, Mr. Wong, for that. That conference was very informational. There's more that I'm sharing with many members, and I'll share with anyone that wants to find out how big a deal it is. The Sacramento Regional Quality Air District and the Placer County Regional Quality Air District are 100% in favor of this type of activity, just to reduce the pollutant. The number one pollutant in California is wildfire. And they really, the funny thing I got is how we formed our BDO. And of course, I had to look around, Mr. Pyatt over there, what's a BDO? We're right in the middle of a biomass development opportunity zone that's a federal status. We were the very first one in California.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
huge.
Huge. And the center of this biomass is Oroville. And the 75-mile transportation routes to the feed lot area is Oroville. So there's a good reason why they're looking at us, because we have a federal status for this activity. So it's very fascinating to find this information out. I was asked that question, and I had to learn myself because I didn't know we were a BDO. It's fun. Councilman Weber, back to you.
No, just real quick. And say, yeah, I commend you for attending that. You know, that's excellent, because we, you know, and I was, when I heard you were there, I was super proud, because it's like, man, we need to look at what our options are.
Exactly.
Right?
And
You know, so I
yes.
wanted to commend you for being
Well,
at that
thank you. I
meeting.
appreciate that. I will admit I found it very informational and fascinating to see that, folks, we're ahead of the game as far as California goes. It's really amazing to find that. So there'll be more to come. And we do need to have the workshops because the public needs to inform. I mean, I'm sitting up here and I've been in government for 40 years plus, and I'm learning too. So it's a learning experience for all of us. I'll move to department heads. Which was, Amy's shaking her head quicker than anybody else. Go, Amy.
I just wanted to update you on Mission Esperanza. As of Monday, they've had 18 guests in the congregate shelter, the navigation center, and 19, and 18 guests in the pallet shelters. They, at one point during the rainy weather, they were at 18 and 19 in each, which the capacity is 20 each. So,
Good.
yeah, and they're pretty confident the people who are enrolled in the pallet shelters will be able to go into permanent housing, but they have experienced some people who are just there to get out of the shelter and have no interest in going through the program. So they're working through those situations, but everything's going good. They have no major problems to announce.
Good to hear. Thank you. Next. Go ahead, Brian.
I just have a couple quick things. As everyone recalls, the council formed an Oroville Area Fire Safe Council a couple of months ago. We're going to be pushing out some information on social media, because really what's going to drive that is community input, identifying members of the community that are passionate about fuel reduction, weed abatement, training, education, and those types of programs. So we're partnering with the Butte County Fire Safe Council, because they've been in this world for many, many years now. And so ideally, we'll get some community members that are passionate about the topic, get a list going, and we'll probably have our first meeting after the first of the year. So if anyone is out there listening who is here, wants to be a member of that, we'll have a social media post coming out. I believe they're going to be sending information to Kayla, I believe. So that should be coming out this week.
Good.
And then the city typically will attend the Chico State Economic Forecast Conference. It's January 15th this year. So if any council members would like to attend, please let me know. We can either get a table, or we can just get 4 or 5 seats at that table. So just let me know within the next week or two.
When is that?
It's January 15th from 9 to 3 at the Bill Memorial Union at Chico State.
Can you
It's a good conference. Absolutely.
Send us out
Yes.
information,
Yep.
please.
I would also encourage that, because one of the speakers that was at our forum on the 5th of November down in Sacramento is going to be the guest speaker at this forum, specifically probably on the biomass issue. So it would be fascinating for us all to attend. Okay. Alyssa's got her hand up.
I do.
She beat you, Ron.
Cal Water is going to be wrapping up their project on Washington with some thermoplastic, so you'll see striping occurring tomorrow.
Thank you. I just got approached at Rayleigh's by the owners up there. When are they going to stripe it? I can tell him now, all right, we're going to do. I told him, keep the faith.
Yes, will be striped, it's scheduled tomorrow. The airport crack sealing and runway remarking project kicked off today, and so those both, I should say, both of them are in the works. Washington and Table Mountain Boulevard, this Friday, there will be kind of like a informational booth set up between like 9 and noon at the Union Coffee Club for anybody interested in the community to just learn more information about that project. Coventry, there was a major, like where Coventry and Highlands intersection, there's been an ongoing just drainage project that's wrapping up probably in the next week or so. Same with so Central School Basin, that will start soon. So there is a culvert repair project that will begin when the one on Coventry is done. The Lincoln closure, so Lake Oroville Area Public Utility District has been working on a sewer line across Lincoln Boulevard, and I believe that closure should be done today. I'm looking, so I think that the road should be open tomorrow. Montgomery and Roundabout, the Montgomery Roundabout project is going to probably be delayed. So I wanted to daylight that to you. Temperatures right now are just too low to begin a paving and striping project.
That's true.
So we are just to get a better final product, we would like to postpone to warmer temperatures, which is completely weather dependent, but we are looking at sometime in March. I believe the asphalt companies are looking at maybe reopening at the beginning of March, but it could be even April. So we're going to be just coordinating that and more to come, which brings me to the CAP-M project. So the idea is we would like to try to beat that project. We would like to try to work on the roundabout prior to the Caltrans CAP-M resurfacing on State Route 162, which is also expected to start in the spring. And I just received an update from the representative from Caltrans today, and it's looking like they're going to be awarding the project in about 2 weeks from now. So I don't have a contractor yet, but I know that they've already done all the bidding for it, and we'll be awarding a contractor soon. And then they plan to start April, May also.
Cool.
Let's see here. Pioneer Christmas is Saturday, December 13th at the Pioneer Museum from noon to 4 p.m. And there's also a holiday tea blending workshop on December 14th, so the following day from 1 to 3. For that particular event, tickets do have to be purchased in advance. The last time I talked with our museum curator, Vanessa, she said that there were about 50% of the tickets sold at this point. So hopefully more continue. I believe they were sold out at the last one, and it was a success, which is great. Lastly, PG&E will be working on a gas transmission line at the intersection of Lincoln and State Route 162 tonight between the hours of 9 and midnight. So they've been coordinating that with Caltrans. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's just not it for you. This is your last meeting with us. So we want to, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You've been
Mr. Belzer.
wonderful. Great house.
First, I'm going to start with our November stats for code enforcement. We opened 40 cases in the month of November, closed 26. We had 6 abandoned vehicle abatements, 4 building violations. These were stop work notices. Cleared up 13 areas around the city that had graffiti. Had 3 cases involving multifamilies, 11 cases involving single-family residents, 3 commercials, and 1 vacant building monitoring. And as I said in my report that I sent you earlier, we were awarded $123,622 by the Department of Justice for the tobacco inspection grant. That grant was, there was $28.5 million available. There was $50 million in submissions, and that's every public health, every police department, code enforcement in California could submit for that. So did we get all the money that we wanted? No, but we did get, quite a bit of dollars, and that'll go towards cost recovery of labor and benefits for my employees that'll go out and do tobacco inspections, make sure nobody's selling flavored tobacco, have self-service tobacco, or selling unstamped tobacco products, state-stamped tobacco products. Other than that, we issued another warrant today at Lincoln and Marysville Baggett. This is a house that had approximately 15 squatters inside of it. The owner is in a mental health institution in Southern California, and some individuals moved in. I want to say thank you to the police department for making sure that the house was safe. Like I say, there was approximately 15 people inside. There was dogs, there was drugs, there was contraband, drug paraphernalia, a lot of nasty stuff in the house. So we got the house boarded up, all the trash was hauled off, and the home's set secured now. We hope it stays secured until the property owner, or if we have to move towards legal measures to take control of the property.
Good to hear. Thank you. Patrick?
I have a question. One of those houses that was that code enforcement on C Street?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Patrick?
The house right next to where the wrecking yard used to be?
Yes, exactly.
It is.
That's
Okay.
the home. There was a lot of interesting stuff inside that house. Very dangerous.
I can imagine.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
We've also, I think we towed away 7 or 8 vehicles off the property as well.
Wow.
So
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot going on there.
Thank you, sir.
Cole and Huber, I appreciate
Yeah.
their
Diligence.
assistance in making sure that we can go do that type of work.
Sam Emerson.
Thank you, sir. Patrick?
Exciting things coming soon.
Oh, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Oh, Sean Weber, excuse me. Mr. Weber, did you have a question? You're in the queue.
I'm not on the queue.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Anything else, Patrick? Or just,
We do have the public hearing that's scheduled for 5 tonight.
right. Okay. And just a reminder, the meeting is next Monday night?
Yes.
The meeting is next Monday, right,
Yep.
at the, as Councilmember Weber had said, at the Stream Charter School, 5:30.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Looking like we move forward. All right, thank you all. A lot of good work being done. Thank you. Next item is consent agenda. Entertain a motion for a consent agenda, or anybody wants to pull?
Mr. Mayor, I know Vice Mayor Smith, you have to recuse, correct?
Yeah, I'm recusing on the item with Bob Marciniak's contract.
Oh, okay.
Due to the fact that the company I work for receives funding from the program he administrates.
Okay.
So we'll,
Gotcha.
let's do item number 2 right now,
Okay.
and then we'll bring you back in and vote on the rest of
All
the
right.
agenda.
So I entertain a motion for item number 2 on the consent agenda.
I move that we approve.
Or second.
Call the roll, please. I should ask, do we have any cards on these?
We do not.
Okay.
Motion passes 5 yeses, 1 recusal, 1 absent.
All right. Bring it back in. Thank you. So items 1, 3, 4 are next up in consent agenda. I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve all items.
A second?
Call the roll, please.
Motion passes 6 yeses, 1 absent.
All right. Item number 5, regular business.
Nope, we're going to public hearing.
Let's go to the public
You
hearing.
want to do the public hearing? Okay, let's go to the public hearing. We'll open the public hearing,
Item number
7. Public hearing's open. Who has this item? Mr.
This
Patrick?
is my item.
Okay.
And the public hearing was actually opened at the last meeting, and it's still open. So
Okay.
so this item is every 3 years, the state updates their building codes, and the city has to adopt those, and they go into effect January 1st. When they update their building code, sometimes the numbers that they use encroach upon numbers that we have in our municipal code. So in this case, we have several items that were related to fire. And So those numbers have to change. So the only thing changes that is happening that we need to do tonight is the numbers that are changing for the items. So we had our codes at section 319, and now they have a 319, a 20, a 21, a 22, and a 23. So now our numbers are moving over to 324. So that's just as an example. In this entire change, the only thing that we are changing is our numbers so that our codes still stay in effect. If you remember the last time that we did the code, the numbers had changed. We had not updated our numbers, and so the states then negated ours, and we had to bring it back and readopt those. So this code adoption includes the number changes so that our municipal codes will be intact.
Any questions from council?
No.
Do we have any cards on this item for the public hearing?
We do not.
So then I would entertain a motion to, do we approve this?
Just close the public hearing, and
Okay.
then it would have to come back to the next meeting on consent for
Okay.
waiver, second reading, and adoption.
So with that being said, we'll close the public hearing on item number 7. And just for anybody in the audience, item number 8 was pulled before the agenda tonight, so we won't be considering that item.
Mr. Mayor, I believe we do, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ritchie, we do need to introduce by title
Introduce
only and
the-
waive
by
the first
title.
reading and then direct staff to bring back.
I'll
As
go
far as the
ahead and
direction.
introduce by title only and waive the first reading of the ordinance 1840.
Okay,
I'll second.
call the roll.
Motion passes 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you, and we'll see that item come back to us. Yes, sir. I thought, did you ask me?
No.
Okay,
I'm just confirming.
yep, I got you.
And on the second one, that one was pulled because the appeal was withdrawn by the appellant.
Thank you. Back to regular business, item number 5, which is consideration of reappointment to the Butte County Mosquito and Vector Control Board of Trustees.
So moved.
Yeah, I will say typically, just for the public's information, we typically do these the first meeting in January, but given the fact that Health and Safety Code require that this position be filled, I believe, the first Monday in January, so,
Right.
and the mayor makes recommendations to the council for consideration, so it's before you today for approval.
I will make a mention too, we got a waiving recommendation from the mosquito board for that commissioner to return. So I entertain a motion.
I did the motion,
Oh.
Weber second.
Okay, call roll.
Motion passes 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. Next item is 2025 state and federal legislative update. Do we have someone online?
We do, we should have, we have 2?
We have Chris Griffin, Jillian Elliott, and Marissa Burton.
Great. So we have just a quick update. So the council approved the agreements with the Ferguson Group to be our federal lobbyists. I believe it was last January, and Yoder and his firm to be our state lobbyist. And over the past 10, 11 months, we've had a number of very productive meetings with those. They've kept us on track with regards to new legislation that's coming out either at the state or federal level that could impact the city. We've worked with, varying, whether it's sometimes it's a state group, sometimes it's a federal group, but worked on issues that directly impact the city specifically. We've been working with our state group on the issues with vernal pools. I know Pat's had a number of meetings with them on energy-related matters and also on the illegal dumping into the river. They've helped us establish relationships with our delegation, and again, that's one of the things that I think we need to continue to work on. And that's one reason we've talked about having a trip out to DC probably in March or April to help get more engaged with our federal delegation. We were very competitive this past year during the earmark process at the federal level, and again, hopefully, a lot of this is building relationships, sharing what
Right.
the needs are of the city, and having obviously the Ferguson Group and Yoder's firm to understand what our needs are to help better advocate for that. They've done the Ferguson Group specifically, we receive grant emails, I think, if not daily, every other day, with different things that are trying to match with what the city's needs are. We've applied for at least one so far, so we're trying to get as much funding as we possibly can to address a lot of our infrastructure-related matters. And obviously, if we can find funding to help us with our staffing matters, you know, and roads, certainly, those are the big priorities that we know the council supports. And with that, I guess I'll turn it over I believe Dylan needs to go first. I think they have a conflict this evening, so Dylan is with Paul Yoder's firm on the state level, just to provide some input. And certainly, if the council has any direction that you'd like to see going forward in 2026, now's a good time to talk about that. So, Dylan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, Brian. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay, can you?
Yep, welcome, Dylan.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you all tonight. And I want to start by saying I'm sorry that Paul Yoder could not be here. As Brian mentioned, we've got a handful of conflicts in section of the CSAC conference this week, so we are all over the place, but still very happy to be with you. Brian, appreciate the sort of interlude there to the things that have been going on. Happy to give a kind of general state update to begin with. I think the most pressing matter to start with is the Legislative Analyst's Office just produced their expected budget fiscal outlook for the next year. It's not ideal. Frankly, it's really not a rosy picture. The governor's office may disagree with this with their own budget assessments, but what the Legislative Analyst's Office is saying the legislature will need to contend with is an $18 billion deficit. It's larger than what was originally anticipated in the June budget. A lot of that is going to come down to what cuts the state sees most by H.R. 1, the federal spending bill, which I'm sure our federal colleagues will speak to in more detail. Right now, the state is trying to figure out how they're going to backfill some of the cuts that they're seeing. Priority is going to be healthcare. We anticipate they're going to get going on that as soon as January. You may have seen that some of the original cash receipt reports looked like the state was going to the good. That is a good thing. The fiscal outlook's still not great considering our expenses are also up. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is the fiscal situation for the state next year is not going to be ideal. That does not mean that there is not money that could benefit local jurisdictions. I think the first thing that we would point you towards is Proposition 4, which was this legislature's $10 billion climate bond that went to voters in 2024, passed by a 60% margin. It's got $10 billion in total. What they basically did this year, the legislature, was they authorized a third of that to go to market. So, and I want to give you the numbers specifically on it. $1.2 billion for safe drinking water, $400 million for wildfire and forest mitigation, $100 million for extreme heat, a handful of other programs. The reason I raise all that is we really think, as far as our team is looking at the fiscal circumstances, that is where the money is going to be. There are provisions in there that mean that some of that money has to go specifically to disadvantaged communities. We've had some great conversations with your department staff about saying, hey, where could that money go? We're going to continue to pay attention to once that money is through market. Think it's going to go to existing programs. It's not available right now for application. It was just approved in the budget, I guess in September. Usually it's August. September this year was when they approved it. We think that that could become available as early as next year. Aside from that, it's not going to stop the legislature from doing all of the bills that they do. In fact, this year was almost 3,000 bills introduced in the state of California, which is a pretty mind-boggling amount. Of those that got to the governor's desk, which wasn't the full 3,000, he vetoed about 13%, which is a pretty low number. And the reason that I say that is for all of the bills that the city cares about, particularly those that are of concern and garner an opposition position, it is really helpful as quickly as we can get in to oppose those, the better we are in trying to stop it. If it gets to the governor's desk, as I said, 13% veto rate. It's not a very high number. More broadly, the legislature focused this year on affordability concerns. It's one of the things that the speaker and the pro tem said that was going to be a priority. In the eye of the beholder, whether they were successful in doing that. There are some pretty major pieces of legislation that will produce more oil and gas in Kern County. I think that that's going to reduce the price at the pump for folks. Some expansion of the wildfire funds that could mean that we get a little bit of reduction in the insurance rates that the state has faced, which of course have been exorbitantly high and continue to go up. It's probably going to be more work done on that next year. We're in the middle of a 2-year session, meaning that when they come back in January, there is business that the legislature will be looking to do. They will move very, very, very fast. And continue, to the extent that you all have particular bills that you may hear about in discussions that you're having, department heads, Brian, we really want to be on top of those in January. For example, if a bill is already in the second house, it could move out very, very quickly. If we need to try to get in there to stop it, get amendments and things, this is going to be a period of time where it's pretty much an all-out sprint from the beginning of January to the end of it. Just sort of the business of the business, there is a new Senate pro tem. She will officially be installed in January. Just because the legislature is currently in recess, they have not taken that procedural vote. However, the internal caucus vote of the Senate Democratic members, obviously we have a supermajority in California, that has elected Monique Limon from Santa Barbara. She will replace outgoing pro tem Mike McGuire from the North Coast. The reason that's important is that means she is probably going to pick a whole lot of new committee chairs that could very well influence things that are important to the city. Things that we have seen over the last several years with particular committee chairs are possibly totally different now. So once we get that list, we'll be sure to share it so that some of the priorities that we've discussed about in the last year with you all, your department heads, we can really start to hone in on what we're going to do next, how we want to try and tackle some of those larger issues. For example, vernal pools, we've had some great conversations with the state. I think we're going to have a more formalized one going forward. Even some acknowledgement from the state board about how back and forth has been kind of confusing with the developer. Obviously, the culverts issue and sidewalks, that's money that we think could go out of Prop 4. But really, we're sort of in a holding period right now before the legislature comes back and get after it and see how the state's going to try to respond to some of the significant budget challenges they have. Pretty much all I've got for you guys tonight. Happy to answer any questions. Brian, please give me a shout if I've missed anything important.
Dylan, I have a question. I brought this up with Paul Yoder about the potential biomass interest in funding. Did you see anything in that, in your discussion that may help us toward that end?
Yeah, so when we had obviously talked about that, one of the things that I'm really interested in pursuing there is this part of the energy affordability package that the legislature moved forward at the end of session concerned kind of a grid regionalization approach, how the state is going to share energy with other nearby states. Really think that the whole biomass discussion is one that really should find itself central to that. We're starting those conversations with folks to see what they're going to come back with. As we mentioned, I think the California Energy Commission has taken a really good leading role. That's where we're trying to start on that. To the extent that it's a done deal, certainly more talk that needs to be had.
Any other questions from council?
Good job. Thank you for the update.
Dylan, the one thing I will mention that I heard at this conference in Sacramento was the idea of moving the biomass generating procedures out of the PUC and moving it to some other state department. Has you heard any noise about that potentially happening?
No, not since you had brought it up. In fact, it's one of the things that we've been poking around about more. Nobody has given us any clear indication yet. And so I'm wondering if those may have been some conceptual conversations. I think you'd mentioned a particular agency. In my mind, the more I've sat with that, California Energy Commission seems particularly best positioned for that. I think Paul had shared, with the whole oil and gas deal, some of their commission members were really significant leaders in getting that forward and making sure that the cogs of Sacramento are actually moving on these things. It seems as though they've had success in recent years. This is just my opinion. It's where I'd like to see it go. I have not heard anything definite or formal.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or staff got questions? Dylan, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan. Chris, you're up, I believe.
I think so. Thank you, Brian. Can you guys hear me all right?
Chris, we see you loud and
Yes.
clear. Thank you. Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. And I think I've had the chance at this point to meet with all of you, certainly at the beginning of the year, and then a few of you back just a month ago now, when I was back over there. I will say not a lot has changed in DC over the last month since I've seen you, but I'll give sort of a retrospective on kind of what we've been doing over the past year, and then sort of a forward-looking outlook on what I think the next year has in store for us here in DC. And I'm also joined today by my colleague Marissa, who's on our grants team, and she's just going to give you guys kind of a quick rundown of some of the stuff that the grants experts on our team here have helped the city out with over the past year. So first of all, it's been a good year. It's been a tough year in DC, I think, in some respects, obviously coming off of a pretty lengthy shutdown. We've kind of got back to a relatively normal pace of things, and then of course they went right into Thanksgiving and then have a couple more weeks and go right into the Christmas holidays. So it hasn't been a whole lot of working time here in DC. So just over the past year, I think the first thing that we started out with was these earmark requests that Brian referred to. I think, we have a really good slate of things that we're going to shoot for the city. The main earmark request that we made this past year was for South Side Oroville and the curb gutter sidewalk project and infrastructure upgrades in South Oroville. Like Brian said, unfortunately, it didn't make it onto the list or into the bill. That being said, none of those bills have passed. So We'll see where those earmarks end up at the end of the day, but we're waiting on that. Aside from that, we've had some meetings with the delegation to talk through kind of Oroville generally. South Oroville and those infrastructure improvements, again, were kind of a focus of these, but we also touched on some other aspects of the city's needs, and in particular sort of infrastructure and some of the other challenges that the city is facing. So those went well. I think one of the things that I'm going to work with Brian and you folks there on getting early next year, even before you think about coming out to DC, are more meetings with the delegation, again, to kind of go back and just introductory meetings, for lack of a better word, but overview, to keep in touch with the delegation and to continue building those relationships. Because that is really important. That's a main function of what we do here in DC. It's just stay in touch with the delegation and keep Oroville's priorities, on their radar. One of the things, that has been frustrating, and you may have heard this from Brian, but the city has essentially eclipsed the eligibility threshold under the Department of Agriculture's Rural Development Program, which is the population threshold is how a community is determined to be eligible, and that population threshold is 20,000. The Rural Development Program at USDA has some very, very good programs that are very flexible, very useful. They can help build facilities, all sorts of other rural infrastructure. The city essentially eclipsed that population threshold, to my understanding, because of the campfire and taking in folks from Paradise. And that has been frustrating to see the goodwill of the community of Oroville essentially work against it in this way from taking those people on. So we did meet, actually, I think Marissa met and Brian and some folks from the city met with the federal employees here, there in California from that office to discuss potential pathways to getting Oroville kind of back in the running for some of this rural development funding. So those meetings, again, are productive. More conversations to be had there, more pathways to explore. But another example of sort of an issue that we're confronting here at the federal level. We also provide regular updates. Along with the grant updates, we provide updates on legislation. We provide updates on federal funding and executive orders, regulatory action, those sorts of things. We provided special reports on the impacts of the shutdown, the impacts of some of the president's executive orders when he issued a bunch of executive orders right when he was sworn into office at the beginning of the year. And then analysis, again, like I said, of large and significant legislation like the One Big Beautiful Bill. So those are sort of some of the things that we've worked with Brian and the team there over the past year on to get in your hands and to make sure that if you have questions about legislation that we can answer them in a timely manner. Other issues just generally, I think, that have been brought to our attention that are kind of at top of mind for me when I work with you guys and going to the Hill or talking to agencies is, again, just infrastructure challenges generally in the context of South Oroville, but also I know that the city has a lot of roads to maintain. I know that that's a large challenge, and that's frankly a challenge I think a lot of communities are facing to varying degrees, but also trying to find potential funding support and funding streams there. The vernal pool issues, Dylan touched on it. It is mostly a state side issue, but this is one of these examples where there maybe is some overlap, where our team and Yoder's team can work together on something to coordinate efforts. But that's as we understand it, and as we've heard, a pretty big impediment to building out housing and other infrastructure there in the city. So we know that's a challenging one, and I know it's been a challenging issue for years now. And then kind of finally, the one major issue or topic that we've discussed is justice and public safety issues. And we had some great conversations with Chief Wines and and the code enforcement department there. I heard his report out right before we hopped on. Understanding that there's a lot of good federal funding out there for those sorts of public safety, crime fighting programs and efforts. It's also one of the easier areas, and Marissa could probably speak to this, but federal funding often doesn't fund a lot of staffing, except in certain realms, and public safety, peace officers, police, et cetera, is one of these areas where federal funding can actually fund positions and jobs. So I'm going to turn it over to Marissa there, unless there are any questions just off that kind of retrospective, but I want to let Marissa talk a bit about her work on the grant side.
I have a couple questions for you, Chris, before you go.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Smith.
Signaling back and forth between Brian, but not, just real quick on the population. I know we crept over 20 post, campfire, but I'm looking at the different numbers, and we are just below that. So how's that quantified?
Census.
That can be the census?
Yeah.
But
It's the census.
yeah. But, so when you look at that, though, it looks like we're just beneath it.
And we were about, what was it, 45 or so over, I think?
42.
42 folks over.
Yeah.
2 persons.
42.
And we did bring that to their attention, that since then we've gone down every
Right.
year.
And so even though we brought,
It's still being discussed, but more than likely it's.
we're not going to win on it.
And the
Well, we're
census
trying.
is every.
We're
Keep
trying.
trying. Keep trying.
10 years, that is not acceptable.
Yeah.
And the big
Because
thing
that was
there is
partly artificial.
well, it was from the
So-
fire victims that the
right, the
city
fire.
Yeah.
supported and helped. So that's kind of been the approach that we've been working with is
Okay.
the city stepped up and helped many individuals who now have since either returned back or moved out of the area, but now it temporarily spiked us, and now it's kind of,
Well, don't give up.
yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think part of the problem too is that by the decennial census in 2030, you might naturally be over that
I'd hope so.
limit again, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. So it would just be unfortunate to have lost basically an entire decade of eligibility for this, very
Few amount, yeah.
beneficial kind of federal program.
Chris, I have a question and a comment. As I mentioned earlier
Yeah.
in the council meeting, that Orville is in the middle of this BDO, Bioeconomy Development
Yeah.
Opportunity Zone, which is a federal status. And I would just hope that you keep a lookout for that. I got to compliment our Fire Safe Council here in this county. They championed this and received the designation back in 2024. So any kind of funding through that process, we're interested because we have those applicants here that are hoping to locate here, and certainly any funding would be a great thing to offer.
Yeah, I'll look into that. That was actually the first I've heard of this BDO program, so I will certainly take a look into it. What that also reminded me, and I'll touch on it. I was planning to touch on it briefly too, in sort of my outlook, but the opportunity zones generally, and that is being kind of rehashed in this upcoming year. So I know we're taking a look at that and that process. It's again one of these kind of state federal nexuses where it is a federal program, but the governor makes nominations for these opportunity zones. But yeah, as far as the biomass goes, I will take a look at that designation.
Well, I realized too that we were the first ones in California designated to this thing, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a nice thing to be able to champion and
Highlight.
spearhead. So thank you, sir.
Yep.
Any other questions from council?
Absolutely.
No, we're good. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. I'll turn it over to Marissa really quick to just give a grants update, and then I'll provide an outlook. So Marissa, you want to go ahead?
Yes, of course. Thank you everyone for your time. Marissa Berger, TFG Grant Specialist. I work alongside Liz Bala in looking for grants for the city and helping with project development and seeing how the priorities of the city can fit into what's available in both federal and state funding. Luckily, California hasn't slowed down with the amount of state grants that are available, and so that's allowed us to really push out a lot of grants to you in addition to what's available on the federal level. We've provided about over 50 grant emails, and generally there's 2 to 4 opportunities in each of those, so well over 100 opportunities that we've presented to the city. We've had department meetings with Public Works, Community Development, the Police Department, Fire Department, code enforcement to learn which projects, are out there, what we're needing funding for, and how to prioritize those projects. We've provided technical assistance, like Chris was saying, for the opportunity zones and the rural status under USDA. I think one of the things that we also discussed as far as the rural status was considered was seeing if maybe we could pull out some of the incarcerated population to see if we could make that number go down. So that's also an avenue. We're kind of just seeing whichever way we can go, like how can we get it to drop by 42 people to get that, because it is a significant amount of money. And one of the programs that comes to mind is the USDA Community Facilities Programming, which would allow for funding for multiple projects that are a priority within the city. We've done a lot of project development, talked with the department heads about, what their needs are, and provided guidance on, okay, we might have to tweak this a little bit here, or would you consider doing this there, so that they align with what the funder's looking for, no matter what the department is. One of the things we also talked about, and I think this might fall into the BDO discussion for the biomass to bioenergy project, is the idea of possibly developing a 501c3 community development corporation that might open up some doors too for additional funding. And I do know that at least one grant was submitted. There was the Oroville Violence Prevention Police Capacity Enhancement Initiative grant that we provided review and assistance with the submission. So I really commend the individuals who worked on that grant and got it out the door and written, because one of the things that I've really tried to preach throughout this last year is that we just need to get some momentum and pursue grants. And once you start getting those awards in, everybody just kind of boosts morale and everybody's willing to go for more. So that's something that we've really wanted to stress to individuals and everybody there at the city. Some of the projects that we've talked about were street and sidewalk improvements, of course, housing, market rate housing specifically, community development, including that biomass project, but also other community development or business development initiatives, which could include workforce development, storm drainage, wastewater management, park improvements, fire and police facilities, also public safety, forest management, fire prevention, and brownfield development, to name a few. There's actually like 90 separate projects on our funding matrix that we have identified for funding. So it's actually great because it's allowed us a lot of opportunity to send you a lot of grants. And so we're just looking forward to guiding and keep tracking these grants and seeing what you would like to go after, and then guiding in that process and securing that funding.
Very cool. Any questions, council?
Thank you.
Marissa, I've got a real comment to mention. We just had the Army Corps of Engineers complete a survey of our levee here, and we have the final draft will be coming to us very soon as a presentation, and they have identified some things to be worked on, probably in the order of $3 to $5 million. So if you see anything for levee improvements, that we certainly would be most interested in that, by the fact that we have this Army Corps of Engineers report that tells us what needs to be done. So you want to put that on the radar, I think, if you don't have it already.
Yeah, we will definitely put that on there. And that's great evidence for need in whatever program we're able to fit that into.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be a great one. Any other questions? Staff, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Keep going on it. We're waiting for more money.
Great, we want to get it for you.
Thank you.
Goal. So that actually segues, Mayor, the question on the Army Corps funding segues pretty well kind of into this next part of this report. And I'll be brief, but I did want to kind of highlight some of the major legislative items and other events and actions in DC that I think should be on your radar. Some I'm sure have been in the news and you have seen it, but some of the legislative items that I'll start with. One, the government funding deal that they passed to end the shutdown. expires at the end of January. So with the exception of the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and a few other smaller agencies, as well as Congress itself, Congress has to solve that. They have to pass appropriations bills or otherwise pass another, what they call a continuing resolution, by before January 30th. Otherwise, we'll see another government shutdown. At this point, I don't want to say that's likely. I don't want to be that pessimistic, but it remains a possibility until they, for lack of a better word, get their act together and pass appropriations bills and pass a full budget. So we're watching that closely. Obviously, with the holidays coming up and then New Year's and et cetera, there's not actually that much time before the end of January for them to get a big slew of appropriations bills done. Hopefully they'll be signed into law by January 30 and then move on to FY27 appropriations, which is where we can shoot for earmarks again. That being said, that time frame often gets pushed back, where we may not be looking at that until May, April, right around then, which is also why we recommend timing your visit around the spring, because it coincides with those appropriations processes very well. So you go and advocate for your projects, and then they turn around and are including it in the bills. Along with that, the Water Resources Development Act is a major bipartisan piece of legislation they pass every year, every 5 years. The kind of corpus, the main body of this bill is authorizing Army Corps Civil Works projects. So projects exactly like the levee. So knowing that and actually having that Army Corps report in our back pocket is going to help us if we put in or submit WRDA, as they call it, Water Resources Development Act, requests as they develop it in this upcoming year. So that was good to know and very well timed for them to get that out to you, get that assessment done. This is, they authorize infrastructure projects all over the country. It's a big bill. It pretty reliably passes every 5 years. The prior iteration of it was in, not every 5, every 2 years. The prior iteration of it was in 2024. The next kind of major legislative item is the highway bill, the surface transportation bill. Those are kind of interchangeably used. That's another piece of legislation that is pretty reliably passed on a regular time frame. This one is 5 years. The prior iteration of this bill was the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act in 2022. So it's probably going to be a smaller bill this time around. The infrastructure bill was $1 trillion plus, but it's pretty regular, and it provides one of the few regular opportunities to kind of look at infrastructure projects and infrastructure spending in Congress with, again, some sense, some confidence that it will pass by the end of the year. So they should begin developing that this early next year, and hopefully see it passed by the end of the calendar year. And then finally, another big piece of legislation is the Farm Bill. This is another 5-year cadence. They are 3 years late on it at this point. The last Farm Bill was actually in 2018, and they have just been kind of sitting on it for the past couple years because of some disagreements over various provisions of it. Most notably SNAP, the food stamps program. They have struggled to kind of find compromise to bring enough voters or enough members from each side to vote in favor of it. So that's been tough, but hopefully they'll see some movement on it in the upcoming year. Finally, it's an election year, and that is always kind of an interesting dynamic. Not to say the least that there are already some interesting resignations happening. You've probably seen some of the news. I've seen some speculation that House Republicans may even lose their House majority prior to the election happening if members retire before the election. It's a very, very, very narrow majority in the House right now. So it wouldn't take that many members to retire. And I've seen a lot of talk of frustration amongst the Republican caucus. In being in the majority, they may have some misgivings about how the White House is talking to them and that sort of thing. So they're facing difficult prospects at this point for retaining control of the House in the election. Not to mention if they lose it before the election, which would be pretty remarkable to say the least. So there's that to contend with. The lame duck, members, outgoing members, and how they'll act is always a question. But then on top of that, we have this redistricting debate nationwide, kind of mid-census redistricting. Obviously, you in California are kind of at the center of that with Prop 50. I'm not an attorney. I don't want to speculate on how litigation will pan out, but I do know that it's going to be fought in the courts, and I know it's going to be fought in many different states, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up at the Supreme Court eventually. So it's going to be a really interesting year, and then part of an election year dynamic is they're always really slow at the end of the year. They basically take the entire month of October off in session or out of session, and they're on the campaign trail. So usually we like to look forward to a little productive period at the end of the year. Usually not the case in election years. So we'll see how much legislation they're going to be able to get through. They've got a lot on their plate. It's kind of up in the air at this point, and a lot of the timing. What's often difficult for us to predict or accurately give you an idea of is the timing for these bills. So I'm kind of guessing spring for some of these, but it could be later. So that's about it, I think, for us. Again, keep on the radar. DC trip. I'll get in touch with Brian. We've got kind of an amalgamated calendar that combines the Senate and House schedules for next year, so that we can start thinking about getting you folks or some subset of you out here for a trip to DC next year. So,
Any questions from council? I'm going to throw one out here that you reminded me about,
Yeah.
Chris. This city has donated 2 substantial properties to the Veterans Administration for, number 1, Veterans Apartment House, and then number 2, a Veterans Owner-Occupied Housing. So, and they've been sitting there for considerable years. So any veterans housing money that comes through, we're very interested in it, because we made the offer to the local veterans group to do it, and it's kind of the signs are up, but we don't see anything, and it'd be nice to see that happen. And like I say, the city donated considerable amounts of real estate to that project, and hopefully we'll see that come about, because we certainly have plenty of veterans in the North State to house, and
Sure.
we would certainly like to see that happen. So anything in the veterans thing, we're certainly interested.
We are meeting with them next week to get an update on the status. And one of the hangups on the large one on Mitchell is we're trying to move the PG&E line, so we've had to work through that situation.
Okay.
And then the one on Montgomery Street is financing, because it's with CalVet, and the way that you structure the owner occupied as to rental, it's tricky, but yes, we need to get that ironed out.
There's a bureaucracy in the Veterans Administration. Can you believe that?
Shocking.
Yeah. Appreciate your efforts and work, and thanks for the conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Any questions? No? Looking around the room. Thank you again.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, folks.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you, Marissa. Okay.
Thank you.
That's done. Item number 6, 7, 8. We're back to public communication. We have any other cards for a second?
We do not, sir.
Okay. We're up to future agenda items and correspondence. Any future agenda items from council? Councilman Weber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 items that I would like to bring up. One, I have been watching closely the intersection of Washington and Orange right by the high school. And I know that we're looking at, all the grant funding money and to redo all that. But man, I think we could really do better with that crosswalk right there for the kids, because it is, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a child almost get hit right there. You know, and I think, I think just some flashing signs perhaps or something that would just, you know, notify more. So I would ask that we look into that. And then also the other item is pretty simple. I get a lot of comments from folks about our downtown bathrooms. And I don't know why, I don't know what I would love to see those bathrooms open. I know they probably have to be completely rebuilt. I know there's a huge hole in that roof. But man, I mean, it couldn't be that difficult to get this done, you know, but we've got you know, I mean, we have all these events downtown and then we bring in porta potties and put them right next to the bathrooms. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's kind of crazy. We got a bathroom right there. So I'd love to see those open, you know, so just two, I think those are relatively simple items. So thank you.
All right. Any other council agenda items? Two good items. Any correspondence to look at?
None received.
None received? Well, with that, our meeting is coming to the point of, I get to say, the meeting will be adjourned for the next regular meeting to be held on December 16th at